I'm Bill Jones, and welcome to VYPE TV, a show that highlights local athletes, their schools, and their communities. On today's show, it's round 2 of the high school football playoffs. We've got highlights from some of the games already played, and we're giving you a preview of today's best matchups. On Monday night, 2,500 people were in Plano to honor FCA coaches and their programs. We'll show you some of the night's best moments. And the featured speaker at the event was former Florida State coach Bobby Bowden. He had the crowd rolling with some great stories. We have a good one lined up for you. Then our resident recruiting expert, David McNabb, brings us some shooting stars that were overlooked during the regular season. And finally, it's time to honor the legend of Tom Landry and select the first athlete to carry his award. The award ceremony less than 3 weeks away, and we have a preview. As I mentioned, it's already week number 2 of the playoffs. More than half the games have already been played, and we have the latest scores for you at the bottom of the screen, so keep watching. Meanwhile, we're here to show you some highlights you probably haven't seen elsewhere. Last week, the Boswell Pioneers rallied from a 35-10 deficit and beat Fort Worth Arlington Heights, which was undefeated. This week, they played another undefeated team, Waco Midway. Could they pull it off again? We take you to Cowboys Stadium Thursday night, where the Pioneers enter the game with strong momentum. Midway wasted no time, however, outscoring Boswell 15-0 in the very first quarter of this one. Action now in the second quarter as B.J. Kelly took the handoff from Ryan Smith. 4 yards for the score. Waco up 22-0. Halfway through the second, Boswell's first score, a 34-yard field goal by Jared Hilgendorf. But Midway keeps rolling. B.J. Kelly, only a sophomore, would get the ball again and take it 67 yards. His third touchdown of the night. He had 178 yards on just 12 carries for the night, 166 in the first half. Boswell keeps fighting back, though, behind prolific quarterback Jacob Stone. Back to pass, and he'll find his star receiver Caden McNeil for 30 yards. McNeil twists his knee, however. He's hit and has to leave the game, unable to return. And after a missed Boswell field goal, Midway would move the ball past midfield, already up 29-3 with a couple of minutes left in the first half. On 4th and 8, they decide to go for it. From the shotgun, Ryan Smith play action to Hunter Jarman for 43 yards, and Waco with a sizable lead at the half. Boswell saved another score with an interception, however, but more bad news would come for the Pioneers. The interception, and then quarterback Jason Stone aggravated an injury he suffered last week and left the game. Stone 16-23 for 140 yards. So the Pioneers started the second half without their star quarterback and their primary wide receiver. Waco comes out firing in the second half, and Rodney Gordon goes 67 yards here. Midway showing why it has sailed through the season with an unblemished mark. Boswell did battle back. A 37-yard pass from backup quarterback Matt Potts to Jacob Tadke here. Jonathan Epps added 109 yards on the ground, most coming in the second half, but it would not be enough as the Pioneer season ends 50-17. Waco Midway the winner. Also on Thursday night in Justin at Northwest High School's terrific stadium, we're bringing you some Class 2A action as Grandview face Melissa in a Division I matchup. We pick up the action in the second quarter with Grandview leading this one 14-0. Grandview keeping the pressure on as Daniel Spencer, a 1,000-yard rusher and receiver this season, 41 yards for his second score of the night. Grandview is up 21-0, but still in the second. A few minutes later, Melissa's John Young runs it in from 6 yards out, and that would cut the Grandview lead to 21-14. Grandview, however, bounces right back. A 10-yard touchdown run would increase their lead to 2 scores. They would lead by 15 at the half. Melissa scored early in the third quarter, but that's the closest they would come. Grandview scored again on a 34-yard pass from Derek Jarrell to Daniel Spencer. Those two combined for 5 rushing touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns. 56-27 the final as Grandview advances to the next round. 30 games already been played this week, 20 more scheduled for today, if you can believe that. 4 of the best matchups are at Cowboys Stadium, starting at 11 a.m., just moments away. Cedar Hill against Denton Guyer, followed at roughly 2 o'clock. Colleyville Heritage against South Lake Carroll. The big matchup at 5 o'clock, Trinity versus Allen. 2 heavyweights duking it out there. And then the nightcap is Duncanville against Coppell. They may be playing up until about midnight tonight at Cowboy Stadium. And we begin our preview with Cedar Hill and Denton Geyer. And joining me is Tim Polzer, editor-in-chief for VYPE magazine. Wow, I love these quadruple headers at Cowboy Stadium, and a great matchup just moments away with Denton Geyer taking on Cedar Hill.
That's right. There's nothing like a quadruple header with maybe 40,000 people, providing just lifelong memories for these kids to really get your heart pumping.
Yeah. And, it's a great matchup of quarterbacks in this first game with Denton Geyer against Cedar Hill. You got Dreyfus Jackson for the Longhorns of Cedar Hill and J.W. Walsh for Geyer, who, of course, is committed to Oklahoma State.
That's right. J.W. is one of the best dual-threat quarterbacks in the state and not the nation. Dreyfus Jackson, an underrated passer. The Longhorns have really passed a lot more this year. I think Joey McGuire's trying to make his offense a little more versatile. So it could be these teams also faced earlier this year, real dramatic finish. So it's kind of a tough game to call.
Well, there really are some great matchups on this day at Cowboy Stadium. Sometimes you get some blowouts, and even in the second round of the playoffs. But I think that's going to be a great matchup between Cedar Hill and Geyer. And then the second matchup of the day, which we're saying it's a 2 o'clock start, probably more like 2:30 right. or so. It's South Lake Carroll against Colleyville Heritage, two schools that probably ought to be in the same district because they're neighboring schools, they're big rivals. And Heritage finally might have the team to knock off Carroll this year.
They're right. They're 0-11 against South Lake Carroll, but they're facing a Carroll team that has 3 losses, so I think they kind of smell the blood in the water. But Carroll really bounced back last week. Kenny Hill's playing well at quarterback. They held Flower Mound to their lowest point total all year, so it should be a good matchup.
Yeah, they got off to a huge first half in that game, 37-6. They've got a fine running back in Paul Stevenson, but so does Colleyville Heritage, and they've got a dual-threat quarterback in Jeff Calvert too.
That's right, Jeff Calvert. He leads the team in rushing and in passing, and just one of the better quarterbacks in the area.
All right, the marquee matchup of the evening, of course, is the 5A Division I matchup, second round playoff game between Allen and Euless Trinity. Trojans are undefeated, once again, 11-0 on the year. The Eagles are 10-1. Allen won the title, of course, in 2008. Trinity won it in 05, 07, and 09. The Eagles of Allen know how tough it's going to be to get a win, but are confident they'll be the only ones advancing in the playoffs.
It's a big one, we have a great tradition against playing them every year, and hopefully we can take it to them. I just feel like if we execute our offensive plan as we're coached to do, then we're going to have a shot at this. There's no reason we can't win.
They're a well-coached team. Coach Lineweaver and those guys do a great job. Always going to put a good team out there on the field. They're going to play hard for 48 minutes.
And you can watch the Allen Eagles and Trinity Trojans battle it out right here on TXA 21. We're showing the game following our coverage of the Dallas Stars post-game show. So you can go to Cowboy Stadium, watch it live, and then come back here and watch it on tape delayed on TXA 21. And Tim, when you look at this matchup, Trinity versus Allen, it is a 24-game win streak for Trinity, and the last time they lost a game was against those Allen Eagles.
That's right. Allen actually, I think, has dealt them their last 2 upsets, and Allen actually kind of upset them the year they went to state. So Trinity is ranked higher. Allen had that one upset against Hebron that kind of blemished their record, but it really should be a really tight game.
Yeah, and you look at Division I type talent. Allen has had a history of producing some wide receivers. They've got another good one in Jonathan Lee, who is headed to Baylor. And it's a dual threat offense, really, for them because they've got a fine running back as well.
That's right. Jonathan Williams is probably one of the most underrated running backs in the area. Alec Morris got a lot of attention at quarterback, but he's more of a drop back passer. So Jonathan Williams, if they're going to win, if he can pound that Trinity defense, that could be the decisive factor.
And kind of do what his older brother Jeremiah did against Trinity once upon a time. All right, the final game of the evening, Coppell against Duncanville, and what a season it has been for the Coppell Cowboys. They are unbeaten, 11-0, but Duncanville is dangerous.
They are. Quarterback Devon Ely has really come on, more than 2,800 total yards, 25 touchdowns. Duncanville's kind of snuck under the radar this year, but Coppell's defense, I think, will really be the key of this game. They lead the area in allowing only 9.5 points per game, so they also kind of sneak under the radar.
Yeah, I think that's been the big difference in this Coppell team this year, and why they've gone through the season in a tough district unbeaten is because of their defense.
I think you're right. I think that the defense would be the key if they're going to end up facing the winner of Allen or Trinity for the regional title, or even go even further. It's going to be the defense making the decision.
Well, and it's such a tough bracket in 5A Division I, but what a great Saturday this is at Cowboys Stadium. Get out there early, enjoy all of them. In fact, even though the Cowboys play the Lions tomorrow at Cowboys Stadium, the best football at Cowboys Stadium this weekend is going to be played today.
Absolutely, I'll be there.
All right, I plan to be there as well. And coming up next on VYPE TV, thousands of people gathered in Plano earlier this week to honor some special coaches. We'll give you the details. And later, we'll talk about some very good players in North Texas. Recruiting expert David McNabb joins us to tell us about players who have been overshadowed so far this season.